Safety and Fire by Mother Fluffer. Chapter 9. Aizawa Shota had not known what to expect when Nezu had called him in to UA to partake in a case. He sat before the more veteran heroes and the detective, covering his mouth as they told him about Izuku's mistreatment for being quirkless. By the time they were done with the story, he was resting his elbows on his knees as he held up his head, disgusted at what he had heard. That's why Nezu suggested bringing you in. We need the evidence of their home life. With it, no one will question why we would remove him from their custody, Torino said sadly, clearly desperate to help the kid. The fact that it is All Might we are trying to take him from, you need evidence that can't be disputed, Aizawa said, moving his hands. He glanced over to Izuku, who was lost in a talk with Nezu, who was looking impressed at the kid. He frowned as Izuku beamed as he spoke, but the sadness in his eyes remained. I'm in. I can't let this stand. Exactly. And thank you. It means a lot. Enji nodded with a small smile. Even my standing as the number 2 hero won't be as effective against him. One thing I truly hate him for, if I was number 1, I could have removed him without argument. There was running footsteps, and Izuku appeared by their side, holding a sheet of paper, looking at it proudly. Hey Zu, what you got there? Work. From Nezu. Izuku showed him. To help with my analysis. Oh, I could never get my head around quirk analysis. It's vital, but I'm useless at it, Enji admitted with a huff, but smiled fondly as Izuku began a soft mumble of quirk analysis. Don't think there has ever been an analysis hero, Aizawa commented. Izuku peeked up at him, only his wide eyes unhidden by the paper he held. Your assistance would be in high demand. You need to make sure you are prepared to handle it. Izuku blushed and hid into Enji's shoulder. The number 2 hero smiled and rubbed his head. A ringtone went off. Night Eye sighed heavily and answered, but didn't move to make it private. Instead, putting it on speakerphone, Tsukauchi immediately pulled out a recorder. Hello? Night Eye asked. Ah, Mirai, I was able to get through. I need to ask you a favor to do with Izuku. Izuku hid behind Enji at the sound of his father's voice, more tired than any had heard him. What kind of favor? I need you to take Izuku from the Todorokis. Keep him at home until we return. Not sure if this is the best idea. Knowing you would then tell the Bakugos to watch over him. I have seen Izuku at the Todorokis. He looks happy to be there. And Torino and I made our views on what you did very clear yesterday. Or did you forget? Night Eye said. And really, what kind of father do you think you'll be, removing him from a place he is happy to someone who is known to beat him up on a daily basis? And don't say Izuku is lying. He's not. There was silence on the other end of the phone call, before the call cut off. Of course, he wouldn't argue with that, Torino huffed. We have too much evidence on Bakugo being a villain. Izuku was shivering. Enji wrapped his arm around him. It's okay, Zu. You are going to keep staying with me, okay? Enji promised softly. Promise? Izuku whispered, breaking the hearts of those there. Enji pulled him closer into a hug, wanting to protect him. I promise you, I will not let you go home until I am forced to, Enji promised. Izuku cried in his arms. Enji didn't let him go and lifted him up. Izuku sat on his lap as Enji comforted him. Okay, we need to be moving on this case fast. The faster we get him from this situation, the sooner we can make sure he is happy, Nezu said. The heroes nodded in agreement. In the meantime, Izuku, would you like a tour of UA? Izuku gave an excited nod. Enji, why don't you show Izuku around? Nezu smiled. Enji nodded. Izuku got off his lap and tugged on his hand excitedly. Enji chuckled and got up. I'm coming. Nezu, could we get Toya to join us? He probably has a better mind of where everything is, Enji suggested. Ah, yes, I will make his teacher aware. Have fun, young Izuku. Nezu smiled. Izuku waved bye to the heroes as Enji led him out, holding one of his hands. Aizawa waited until the door shut behind them. I'm going to stake out the house now. If I can get evidence of negligence in an empty home, it might help, Aizawa said. I'll take you. The neighbors know me, Torino said. And I have a spare key. Well, let me make sure the place is cleaned up too. Get all the pictures you need, and then I'll tidy. Aizawa nodded in agreement, and the two left. Which leaves us to compile what we have so far. Mirai looked at Nezu, who nodded. Let's get to work. Nezu walked back to his desk, a dark glint in his eye. Izu! Toya grinned as he saw his father and Izuku approach as he was leaving the classroom. Enji almost chuckled at the sight of the class trying to glimpse outside the classroom before Toya closed the door. Toya hugged Izuku tightly, causing him to giggle happily. Toya! Nezu gave me so much work to help with my analysis. It's going to be so much fun! Izuku was almost bouncing around with the news. Enji was surprised to see his absolute enthusiasm for the work as he smiled at Toya. You are going to have to show me when we get home. I could use a hand in working on analysis. But first, Toya grinned, you ready for a tour of UA? Yeah! Izuku cheered happily. Toya took his hand and began to lead him. Enji followed behind with a small smile. Hey everyone, it's Tempe again. That's the end of this chapter, and if you liked this, please follow the links in the description to go to the original work and support the author. If you like this, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If you have any suggestions for fanfictions or how to make this better, please leave a comment or you can send the suggestion to my email in the description. Alright, thanks guys. See you next time. Bye.